Welcome to G Woman Voices of Influence series, where we spotlight women whose voice, work, and impact are shaping the future. I'm your host, Clara Rufai, and my guest today is a woman who works with smart, accomplished women at pivotal crossroads. She helps them recalibrate, realign, and build the kind of self trust that transforms both life and leadership. The woman of influence we're celebrating today is none other than Jennifer Evans, also known as ZenJen. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Clara. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here, and I feel honored to be part of the Voices of Influence series. So, thank you very much for inviting me here today.
Amazing, amazing. All right, we'll just kick off then with a little bio, shall we? So, Jennifer Evans, also known as ZenJen, is a transformational coach, Reiki Master, best-selling author, and host of the Soar and Influence podcast. With over 2 decades immersed in energy healing and personal development, she specializes in guiding women through pivotal life and career transitions. After leaving a 15-year executive career and navigating significant personal reinvention, she now supports women building deep self trust and aligned success. Again, welcome. It's lovely to have you here, Jennifer.
Thank
So
you.
let's go straight into the business of the day, shall we?
Yes, let's dive in.
Amazing. So tell me, Jennifer, I'd love to ask you first off, your origin moment. Now, you've worked through some profound life transitions, executive career shifts, international relocations, divorce, reinvention, and all of that. What is it that inspired you to begin the work you're currently doing today? What was that, defining moment when you realized your journey wasn't just about personal development? Tell us.
Mm, it's a really good question, Clara. Thank you. Um, I've always been drawn to helping people. From a very young age, I remember helping my mum with her headaches. Um, so I used to help heal her headaches. I didn't know what I was doing, so I had a healing ability, and I've
Hmm.
always drawn to help people, but also uplift them and connect with people. At school, I was known as a chatterbox. I had on every single report, Jenny would do better if she didn't chat so much. So it's always been an innate part of my life, and I didn't realize how important it was to connect with people, especially with women. And because of what I went through, I have so many profound transitions and so much change in my life, always seeking something with more meaning and fulfillment and joy. I always had this sense that there was always something better. Um, and because I found that through my own personal journey and personal development and spiritual development, I've been really drawn to making the difference and making the impact on other women's lives because I understand what's possible. I see unlimited possibility for women. And I see the conditioning and the expectations that are put on us and how we limit ourselves as women.
That's
So,
powerful. That's
mm,
really powerful, Jen. I mean, what resonates is the fact that you have to first find yourself before trying to help other women find themselves. And I think that's amazing. So,
yes.
building on that, I'd love to ask you, who, assuming there is a person or a moment, who is it that perhaps influenced you on your journey? And how did that person shape the woman you've become today?
A lot of the influence actually came from myself.
I like
There was an inner knowing. Um, I'm just thinking if there was anyone in particular that I looked at. There were a few women in my life. It was always a woman. Although I have to say, my dad always said to me that life is about being happy,
that. Hmm.
even though he didn't live his life that way or doesn't, he still doesn't live his life that way. He instilled in me at a very young age that life is about happiness and finding your joy and finding happiness. But some of the women that influenced me were people in my own circle. I've never really looked at celebrities or let's say, gurus, or I've never looked outside of my own circle for women that have influenced me. But it was people, I remember people at work, actually, women that stood up for themselves, women that thought outside the box. I mean, I've always been a rebel and a freedom seeker anyway. And I think I was very tuned into that. I've always had this deep sense of knowing that there was something more and something better.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love you saying that you were your own, basically, you inspired yourself to start on your journey. I think that's amazing. That's amazing. So we're seeing comments. People are, engaging. They're saying it's profound that your influence came from yourself. Exactly. Exactly that. I totally, totally agree. So let's move this on. So let's talk about impact and transformation, right? You specialize in doing soul aligned work, right?
Yes.
And with that said, what would you say is the transformation, exactly the transformation that you create for the women you work with or the women who choose to work with you? What's that transformation?
I think my approach, knowing, understanding, and or having that sense that there's always a better way, another way of living, a new approach. I think when you silence the outside noise, when you come within and really listen, you tune into your intuition, and you have the courage to allow yourself to listen to those soul whispers. We all have them, and they might show up as a dream or as an aspiration, but there's this deep internal voice that gets louder and louder if we ignore it. And when we tune into that, that's where we can truly understand who we are, understand what lights us up and what our purpose is, and also understand who we are as a being that, as we were born, of being of love, and wanting, most of us are here to contribute in some way or another. So when we tune into that and we create silence and get present with that, it allows us to live a life with more joy and freedom and fulfillment.
That is so powerful. Again, that is really, really powerful, Jen. I mean, I'd like to, acknowledge all the G women that are watching, that are, basically connecting with us, and everyone else that's watching, really. What next says the original Spice Girl influencing yourself with girl power. But I totally agree. I could not agree more. Okay, I mean that's amazing. What you shared about that. I mean, so signature superpowers. If I was to ask you, Jen, I mean, because every woman of influence, right, has a superpower. So I'm curious to, and I'm sure the people listening to us are curious to know, what would you say is your true superpower when you're guiding women through uncertainty? In other words, what's the ZenJen source? What's the magic?
I think, well, the ZenJen actually came from somebody that I worked with. So she said that you create the environment where I feel fully safe, fully seen, and I can be fully myself without any judgment, and in a space of love, full support and compassion. So that's one thing I've been known. The reason why I'm known as ZenJen is because I create that really calm environment where they feel fully supported, and and safe. I think safe is very, well, especially when women first come to see me. One of the biggest things we do is we try and live our life trying to be safe. And that creates all sorts of issues and limits and holds us back and blocks us. But it's so important for them to feel safe, to be able to open up, knowing they're in a non-judgmental environment. So I think that's one thing, is creating that safe space for them.
And that's important.
And one of the other things that I'm known as is sunny. I always bring light. And even though we might be talking about very serious things, and I take what I do very seriously, but I'm not a very serious person. if that makes sense. I help people feel uplifted, even when they're going through real struggles in life. I help them feel like there's more than hope, but transformation is possible, and the life that they want is possible no matter what they've been through.
So you create that safe space. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Absolutely. Right. The Good Radio Network says fully safe, fully seen, and fully yourself. That's beautiful that you create that kind of environment for women. I
Thanks,
totally agree.
thanks,
I
Frankie.
totally agree. I do totally agree with that. Okay, so I mean that's
Yeah, there is actually one other thing I want to add to that. As I said in the beginning, that I believe in what's possible for women, so I really help them activate what's truly possible for them,
mhm,
because so
mhm.
many of us don't see for ourselves what's actually possible. So
That is so true.
one of the things I do is really help them open up what's possible, and then feel worthy and deserving of that possibility, and truly believe in themselves and deeply trust themselves.
Hmm, hmm. And that's really, really important. You know,
Mm,
women deal with imposter syndrome a lot, and it's so
mm,
important that you're able to create that kind of space where they can come in and truly, you know, be
mm.
themselves.
Yeah.
So, with that said, can I ask you, Jen, how important do you think it is that we amplify women's voices?
I mean, I'm smiling because this is such an important part of all women, and is to really amplify our voice. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be on a big stage. It can be in a small setting. It can be just with your family, but
Hmm.
expressing what you know to be true, expressing your feelings, expressing yourself is also a really important part of amplifying your voice and being who you came here to be. The Dalai Lama said, in Vancouver, in one of the, I think it was a UN summit, he said that women of the Western world will change the world. It's women that will change this world, because because of our femininity, our nurturing, our natural way of nourishing others and caring and thinking about others, coming more from a place of love and compassion, and having the means to do that. So I think by, even in a small way in your community or in your family, it is so important to speak your truth.
That's so true. And G Woman Media says, when you know you're here for a greater purpose than your day job, then you learn to lean into self inspiration as you are inspired by your very essence. Wow.
Yeah, I love that. That is so true. When we are connected to our purpose, we
Yes,
create the courage to step out because we know what we have to say truly does matter.
that's true. And Misty, again, oh, okay. I think I read that by the Good
Mhm,
Radio
mm,
Network. That's
mm.
beautiful that you create that environment for women. That truly um, is beautiful, because when a woman can truly be herself and be seen for who she truly is, that just gives her the freedom to be her best self, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And make such a difference. Women, when we stand in our truth and we stand in our
mhm,
joy, we make true transformation for those, from those, with those people that are around us. And it's also not necessarily preaching to people and
yes,
standing up on your soapbox, but it's about leading by being a role model, by just showing up as your true self will have a massive impact, and teach our children, the people around us, that there is a better way of being,
right.
just
Because
just through example.
no one benefits when we shrink ourselves, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
By allowing yourself to shine, you basically give other women around you the permission to do the same.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Totally
love
agree.
that. and women coming together and collaborating. We were taught to be competitive. We were taught to compete against each other because that creates divide. But when we come together and also we collaborate, we make a bigger difference. And when you're using your voice and amplifying your voice, you attract other like-minded people to you. And so you can create this big sense of belonging that we all search for. So when we use our voice, we attract all those other people that are very similar to us,
Yes,
or are inspired by us and want to
that's
be more
true.
like us.
And I think that's what Misty Dong is saying. Misty Dong
Mm.
68. She says, I truly believe we reflect what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That so resonates. Let's take a couple more comments. When you truly believe, the Good Radio Network says, when you truly believe that others can do what they dream about, you give them a huge gift. Isn't that the truth?
It is. I love that. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, Jen.
Mm.
Let's briefly, Jennifer, what I do want you to do is tell our listeners, if every woman that's watching you today could walk away with one belief anchored in her heart, because you do soul aligned work, right? This should resonate. If she could walk away with one belief anchored in her heart, what would you want her to know about herself right now?
Two things. One, you were born to flourish. Two, you have the answers within. You already have the information within you to find and discover your more meaningful, fulfilling, purposeful, joyful life. All
Yes.
those answers are in your body, whether that,
Mhm.
through your intuition, through your body's guidance, the way your body talks to you. So one thing that I love is, if something resonates with you, if something
Mhm.
piques your interest, your body will lean in.
That's
If
true.
some if something feels yucky and not aligned, you will move away. So your body communicates with you every day. And if you learn how to tune into that, you learn how to trust your intuition, you gain clarity on your decisions, and you take that inspired action with courage, it changes everything.
I totally agree with that. We were born to flourish. Every last one of us, every single one of us. I mean, thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing your voice of influence with us today. It's been amazing. I've had, fun chatting with you. And here's what I want to say to everyone that might, be listening to us. When a woman trusts her genius, she transforms her life. When she shares her voice, she transforms the world. This has been G Woman Media Voices of Influence, where women's voices are not just heard, but they're amplified and celebrated. I'm your host, Clara Rufai. Thank you for watching, and you keep shining.
Thank you.